The Saturday crowd at Action World arrived the way it always did in late October. In waves, loud and layered, sneakers squeaking on the polished concrete, children orbiting their parents like small anxious moons. The laser tag arena was running its noon surge. The climbing wall had a line. The air smelled of popcorn and the particular industrial sweetness of carpet cleaner, trying to cover a full week of high-traffic use. Lena Osi had been running the concessions counter at Action World for 3 years, long enough to know the rhythms of a Saturday by feel. She could read the crowd the way a nurse reads a waiting room, who was wound up, was fading, where a spill was about to happen. She wasn't looking for trouble that morning. She was restocking the nacho trays, half listening to the noise of the room when the woman came through the staff access door at the far end of the north concourse. She was dressed in civilian clothes, a neatly pressed dark blazer, charcoal slacks, low practical shoes, a tote bag over one shoulder, a clipboard at her side. She was black, mid-40s, and she moved through the operations corridor with the unhurried precision of someone who had walked many rooms exactly like this one. She wasn't a parent, she wasn't lost. Lena thought for just a moment that she was a manager visiting from the district office. Someone corporate, someone with a reason to be exactly where she was. Derek Finch did not think that. Finch was the floor supervisor on duty that morning, a man who wore his lanyard and his radio with the seriousness of someone recently promoted, and not yet sure he'd been right to want it. Lena saw him clock the woman from 20 feet away, saw his posture change. He cut across the concourse at the diagonal, radio already in hand, and stepped in front of her before she reached the second equipment bay. "Excuse me," his voice carried. "This area is staff only." The woman stopped. She didn't step back. "I know," she said. "I'm with the state." She set her clipboard down on the nearest equipment shelf, unhurried, like she'd done it 100 times, and produced a laminated credential card from the front pocket of her tote. Renata Odoms, State Recreation Safety Authority. This is a routine facility compliance inspection. Finch looked at the card. He looked at her. He looked at the card again. "This doesn't look like a real ID." Renata Odoms did not change her expression. "It's a state-issued compliance credential," she said, and her voice was level and unhurried. "My name, my authority number, and the state seal are all on the front. If you'd like to verify, the number on the back connects directly to the authority's duty desk. I'm going to need you to come with me." He reached for his radio. "I've got an unauthorized individual in the north operations corridor." Lena stopped reaching for the nacho trays. 2 of the facility security staff appeared from the east entrance within 2 minutes. They were polite enough. Lena would give them that. But they flanked Renata Odoms and walked her to the front lobby, and the credential card was not checked against any number, and the clipboard stayed on the equipment shelf, and the whole concourse watched. Lena watched. She didn't speak. In the lobby, Renata Odoms stood at the guest services desk and presented her credential card a second time. Young man behind the counter. His name was Cody. He had been at Action World for 4 months, and he held the card like it might tell him what to do next. "I am a compliance inspector with the State Recreation Safety Authority," Renata said, "and I was in the middle of a scheduled unannounced inspection of this facility. I was removed from the operations corridor before I could complete the carbide latch verification on your climbing wall anchor points." She let that land. "I'd like the name and contact information for your general manager, and I'd like to wait here until someone with authority over this facility can speak with me." Cody picked up the phone. Finch had followed them to the lobby. He stood near the guest services desk with his arms crossed, and Lena, who had come around from behind her counter because the notch trays could wait, watched him from the edge of the concourse. He said, loud enough for the families waiting at the birthday check-in to hear, "I don't know what she told you, but we get people like this sometimes. They come in through a side door and claim they're from some office. That credential looks like it came off a home printer." Renata Odoms turned and looked at him. "Which verification procedure," she said quietly, "did you follow before reaching that conclusion?" Finch opened his mouth. He closed it. "There's a protocol," she said. "The authority number on the back of this card connects to a live duty desk, staffed 7 days a week, that can confirm my identity and the inspection schedule in under 2 minutes. You didn't call it. You called security. She looked at the credential card, still in Cody's hand. That's worth noting. Nobody spoke. The birthday check-in families had gone very still. Child near the arcade entrance asked her father a question, and he shushed her, gently. Lena was standing at the edge of the concourse. She thought about going back to the counter. She thought about the nacho trays. She took 3 steps forward instead. Credential looks legitimate to me, she said. She didn't say it loudly. But it was quiet enough in that lobby that everyone heard it. I've seen the state inspector before. They come in plain clothes. This looks right. Finch turned. Lena. I'm not saying anything except what I'm seeing. She kept her voice level. She looked at Cody. Maybe call the number on the back. Cody was already reaching for the phone again when the front entrance doors slid open. The woman who walked in was white, early 60s, a blazer over a state authority lanyard that she was not bothering to tuck away. She had a tablet under one arm and a leather folio under the other, and she moved with the kind of calm that accrues over decades. The calm of someone who has seen a great many rooms and knows before she enters which ones will require her to raise her voice and which will simply require her to arrive. This one clearly required the latter. She looked at the lobby. She looked at Renata Odoms standing at the guest services desk. She looked at the security staff still flanking the desk. She looked at the credential card in Cody's hand. Harriet Calloway, she said. Regional Director, State Recreation Safety Authority. She held her own credential toward the desk and kept her eyes on Finch. I'm here for a convergence visit with my inspector. A pause. Appears to have been removed from your operations corridor. The lobby was very quiet. Finch said, I was following facility protocol for unauthorized. She's authorized, Harriet Calloway said. Not loudly, just completely. Credential is on file with this facility's registered manager. The inspection was scheduled with your general manager's office 11 days ago. The notice is in your compliance inbox. She looked at Cody. Please locate your general manager. The phone was already ringing. Followed was orderly and unhurried, and, in its own way, more consequential than any raised voice could have been. The general manager, a man named Paul Whitfield, arrived from the back office within 4 minutes. He shook Harriet Calloway's hand. He did not shake Finch's. He looked at Renata Odoms and said, Inspector, I apologize. And he meant it in the specific way that people mean things when they understand that. An apology is the least of what is owed. Harriet Calloway produced her tablet. She noted the time the inspector had been removed from the operations corridor. She noted the credential that had been dismissed without verification. She noted that the climbing wall anchor point inspection, mandated under the facility's operating license, was incomplete. She noted Finch's name and badge number. All of it went into the incident record attached to Action World's compliance file at the state authority. Finch was removed from his supervisory shift by Paul Whitfield before the hour was out. The administrative review opened that afternoon. 2 o'clock, Renata Odoms was back in the operations corridor. She had her clipboard. She had retrieved it from the equipment shelf, where she'd set it down. It had sat there, undisturbed, through everything that followed, a small rectangle of authority that needed no defending. She worked without hurry, moving through the facility, the way she had when she first walked in, with the quiet competence of someone who knew what she was looking for, and why it mattered. She completed the carbide latch verification on the climbing wall. She completed the foam pit depth check, and the emergency exit latch test, and the surface panding inspection along the eastern activity bay. She found 2 minor items requiring attention and logged them with the professional neutralness of someone who had long since stopped needing anyone to be impressed by the work. She had been doing this for 11 years. The work was its own argument. The children playing laser tag had no idea that the woman moving along the far wall of the equipment corridor was the reason their equipment had been checked that morning. They had no idea about the anchor points on the climbing wall, or the latch that needed a half-turn of adjustment, or the form being filed 40 miles away at the state authority that would require Action World to submit a corrective compliance report within 80 days. They were just playing. That was the point. Lena Osi restocked the nacho trays. The lunch rush came and went. Around 3 in the afternoon, when the crowd thinned to its mid-afternoon lull, She found herself thinking about the 20 seconds between when Finch had spoken and when she had stepped forward. 20 seconds was not long. She had spent most of it thinking about whether it was her place, whether she had the standing, whether it would matter. She had almost let them pass. She didn't know what had tipped it. Maybe the way Renata Odoms had stood at that desk, not performing patience but simply having it, the way you have something that belongs to you. Maybe the look on Cody's face, a young man holding a credential card and waiting for someone older to tell him what to see. Lena didn't think she'd done anything extraordinary. She'd said what she saw. But she thought about those 20 seconds for a long time afterward. She thought about how close she had come to spending them on the nacho trays. She thought about the climbing wall, and the children on it, and the woman who had come to make sure it was safe, and had been made to stand in a lobby and prove she had the right to do her job. Those 20 seconds, it turned out, had mattered. They almost always did.